Looking for the perfect gift for someone you love? Perhaps you're in search of something unique to treat yourself. Discover the beauty of uniquely created hand-stamped jewelry. Locally owned and crafted with love, our collection features rings, bracelets, keychains, and pendants made from durable aluminum and paired with natural beads. Enjoy necklaces on sterling silver-plated chains and earrings with sterling silver hooks for a touch of elegance. Each piece is hand-stamped and one of a kind, making it uniquely yours. Plus, we offer custom orders, and we ship nationwide. Find us on Facebook and Instagram today and fall in love with your perfect piece, uniquely created just for you. Uniquely created hand-stamped jewelry in Crossville.
Here's the situation. The reality is that the number one new cancer diagnosis for people in their 20s and 30s is colon cancer. But it makes sense when you're eating highly processed food and you have a steady diet of it, and there's so many other things that are keeping people from eliminating twice a day, which is what we're supposed to basically be eliminating every time we eat. And I have a woman that was coming.
Welcome to What's Up Crossville, your go-to podcast for all the happenings in our quaint Tennessee town. Whether you've been here for generations or have just moved to enjoy our slower, friendlier pace of life, this is the place to connect with the heart and soul of Crossville. Here, we dive deep into the facts, share true stories, and get to know our neighbors a little bit better. Each episode aims to inform, inspire, and entertain, steering clear of the negative noise and controversies often found outside in the world today. This is Melissa Ellis, and I'm here to ask, what's up, Crossville? What's up, Crossville? Today I have Lisa Garcia with us. She is the owner and basic operator of Cleanse Wellness Spa in Cookeville, Tennessee. Lisa, you're not even from here. Where are you from? And tell me how you got here.
So I am a Cape Cod native and then moved to San Diego for 40 years. And I got here because I love Tennessee. I've had friends in California that have lived there for many years, and they talked us into coming and trying it out, and we liked it.
Well, that was good enough. I'll take that. All right, so Cleanse Wellness Spa is a holistic wellness spa. Explain to our listeners what holistic means, just in an overall general terminology.
Well, holistic is basically the opposite of Western medicine or medicine that operates with pharmaceutical care. We use natural modalities to help the body to detox. We do not give you anything to eat or drink that causes these colon cleanses to happen, right? That's kind of like the big thing. Like I met a nurse that works for the GI department at the hospital, and she's like, oh, you do colon cleanses? And then as we were talking, she's like, oh, wait a minute, you're putting something into somebody? You're not just giving them like a drink to drink? And I had to explain to her, but it's just water. But anyway, so holistic is using the body's own tools without putting pharmaceutical chemicals in to force a reaction or manage disease.
When you started Cleanse Wellness Spa, you started with the intention of introducing or really encouraging holistic wellness in our Upper Cumberland community. What
Correct.
services do you offer in that?
So we offer 5 different modalities of internal detox. They are the colon hydrotherapy. We have an open and closed system. We also do bioelectric lymphatic drainage, which is a light touch equipment-based way to break up congestion in the lymph and drain them in their proper places through the main lymph nodes of the body and the main drains. We also offer a far infrared sauna, which is a medical grade sauna that heats you from the inside out. So It's kind of like think of a baby's incubator.
Yeah.
So it's great for lowering inflammation, blood pressure. I have a lot of people that come in for different tick diseases because the inflammatory conditions. So low-lying inflammations everywhere. So it deals with inflammation. I also have the ionic foot detox, which also deals with detoxing the body from metals and other things like that. And the lemon peppermint foot soak, which is more for pregnant women, younger people, or people that are contraindicated for one of the other services because of an underlying health issue. So that's what we offer.
Okay, so you mentioned with colonics you offer an open and closed system. What does that mean?
Well, they're just two different types of FDA-registered, colonic devices. And so basically, a colonic is the infusion of warm filtered water into the rectum gently for the purpose of evacuation. And it is medically indicated in this country for colonoscopy prep and endoscopy prep. I've had several people come in that had gotten CAT scans for other things that they were, going through, and they were told that they were impacted. And several of the people were kind of surprised because they were using the restroom and having bowel movements 1 to 2 times a day, every day.
Oh.
And they were completely full. Now, the difference between the open and the closed is just the modality of the session. So the open is my most comfortable session. I have 2 of them that run each hour, and it involves a small nozzle. If anyone has medical experience, it's called a yonker, which is a suction. And so many nurses come to me and they're like, "Oh, we know what that is. That's a suction." And I said, "Yes, but for the Libby, it's a Libby rectal tube, and it puts the water into the body gently." Okay. And so it's a lot more private. And so the open system is, like I said, designed for a more private experience. The client will come in, they'll lay on the equipment, they'll do this insertion, which goes into the rectum about 1.5 inches, and then we gently infuse the water, and they take the water in, and then when they're feeling full, they push the water out, and it's about 45 minutes long. The closed system is the original system that was in hospitals and nursing homes in the 50s, and it basically was aged out because of big pharma and the fact that people, like to prescribe laxatives. But laxatives are stimulating to the bowel. Yeah. And actually, people have said to me that they were afraid to try colon hydrotherapy until they came in and became a believer, because they were told that your body could become dependent on colonics to move. And that's the opposite effect, actually. The colonic will hydrate the colon, and it will cause that natural peristalsis to help to evacuate the colon in the way it's intended, whereas a laxative will cause a diuretic effect because it stimulates the bowel to push out the waste without using the peristalsis of the colon, because the colon's a giant muscle that's made to take your liquid that comes from the small intestine and form it into a stool and push it through. Right. So the closed system also involves the insertion, but it's a larger insertion. It's about an inch and a half in diameter, and it's put into the rectum. And the therapist, which is me, operates the equipment. So I infuse the water into the colon, and then when you feel full, you tell me stop, and then I release the water. It's just not as advantageous for people who have chronic constipation or impaction because it can get clogged. Okay. Whereas the open system, because the small insertion stays in the rectum and continually flows with water, when you're emptying, you push the water and the waste out, and it comes around that little insertion, and the insertion stays in, and it comes out a large tube. So both sessions allow the client to see the waste and look for parasites and other things, but it's just a little bit more comfortable and more popular with the open system.
How do we get parasites in our body?
So we're mammals, right? So we are one of the only countries in the entire world that don't deworm their people 1 to 2 times a year, which is that's a travesty that ivermectin is so outlawed in so many places and so regulated. It's a Nobel Peace Prize winning drug for its safety. And we should be doing parasite cleanses because all that has to happen is a fly lands on your food, right? And people are all into natural and they're eating a lot of salads. Well, your salad can give you a parasite too. You don't have to be a carnivore or on a carnivore diet to get a parasite. But I know that on the times when I eat meat, and I don't eat red meat very often because it's very hard to digest in our systems, because here's the thing, we're not carnivores, we're omnivores. Okay. So when we eat a carnivore-only diet, it does cause inflammation because, the digestive system of like an animal, a true carnivore like a dog, is about 1 yard long. And in our bodies, we're 10 yards long. So that's a huge difference, and it takes a long time. So that's how we get parasites. We get parasites from a bug landing on our food and laying eggs, and it's either not cooked properly, or a lot of times people in our country, because of our diets of highly processed food, we don't have enough stomach acid to kill that thing off. Oh. I mean, we just don't. I mean, people with a lot of reflux, for whatever the reason, or even a person with a chronic H. pylori infection that hasn't been, taken care of. Like 73 to 80% of the population has H. pylori, which can cause stomach ulcers and mess with the stomach acid and cause all kinds of problems. And it's a really easy fix, but people don't even get tested for it. And it runs in families, so it's really just easy to pass on. So
I've never even heard of it.
oh yeah, so and H. pylori is a bug that needs to be eradicated in our systems, and we get it because we're mammals. So like I said, I have doctors from Spain and other places that come in to see me, and they can't believe that we don't deworm our people twice a year. Instead, we're all about finding the diseases that our high processed diets cause here in this country, because in this country we are into disease management, and it's a billion dollar industry, rather than preventative care for our people to keep them healthy like other countries.
And you know what I recently learned in the last year, my husband and I have talked about it, is the life expectancy in the U.S. is one of the lowest in the world.
Yeah, because they're killing us on purpose, and we're running to it, like a sheep to the slaughter. It's like, no, everybody knows that there's 15,000 chemicals in a Starbucks. Everybody knows that coffee is one of the most highest sprayed crops. So and it also contains mold. Now, I love coffee, but I use Life Boost at my house. It's an espresso. And I do the espresso so that I don't get mold, and it's triple tested for mold. And yeah, it's a few dollars more than a regular bag of coffee. But I mean, like my parents, I went to visit them in San Diego. They're still drinking Folgers.
Ew.
It's like, Folgers, are you kidding me? Why don't you just take a shot of Windex and just
Oh my gosh.
down it? And I don't mean to make people feel
No.
bad or overwhelmed or this or that, but it just amazes me how many people feel that they can't make it a part of their daily routine to prioritize detoxing. When I drive on Interstate Drive in my beautiful city of Cookeville, and the rich and the poor meet at the same place. I mean,
Yeah.
It's just like there's not even parking in any of the restaurants, and
Right.
everything is highly processed, even the sit-down restaurants, because they're getting food from a highly processed food supply chain, right? And
Yeah.
so am I saying that you have to be a drag like me and never eat out? I'm not saying that, but our bodies can take some abuse.
Right.
But not all abuse. I mean, the number one new cancer diagnosis for people in their 20s and 30s. So before I even say that, what it is, who used to get cancer in their 20s and 30s?
I don't know, but I've been speaking with a lot of friends lately, and there have been quite a few like passings.
Well, it's
people that I
unbelievable.
know, and I don't feel like I'm even old enough to be having cancers at this point.
Well,
but I've had friends that have had cancers since like their 20s,
Yep.
their 30s.
well, at
and
least that
it's
they're
scary.
around to tell you about it. Because
Absolutely.
circling back to the nurse that I met from the GI field, when she found out that I was doing colonics, and so here's a nurse that's very wise in her field, and she had never heard of colonics. So that's something that's interesting to me, because they've been around since 1500 BC or earlier. We've got documentation of that. The Egyptians were really into colonics, and kings of the court and everyone, because they all believed that disease centered in the gut, and they're right. The life and death of you, including mental health, does circle around the gut. But this nurse, she was taken back at first when I was describing what a colonic was, or colon hydrotherapy. And I said to her, I know it sounds strange, and some GIs don't embrace it because they don't really understand it. And her comment to me was that what is even more strange for her is that she had to tell a 23-year-old, now this was Sunday, I was visiting a church. She had to tell a 23-year-old female that she had stage 3 colon cancer.
Oh my gosh.
Here, and it was in Cookeville. So here's the situation. The reality is that the number one new cancer diagnosis for people in their 20s and 30s is colon cancer.
I had no idea.
And this isn't fear-mongering, and it's not trying to get me business, and I'm not trying to say at all that if you do colonics with me, you won't get colon cancer. But it makes sense when you're eating highly processed food and you have a steady diet of it, and there's so many other things that are keeping people from eliminating twice a day, which is what we're supposed to basically be eliminating every time we eat. And I have a woman that was coming to see me, and she still is, but she hadn't had a bowel movement in 47 days.
What?
And she had gone to several emergency rooms in Sparta, in Cookeville, and somewhere else, maybe even a UT. And they really can't do anything for her, right? They send her home. They try to manually take it out with their hands. I mean, colonics used to be in every hospital and nursing homes back in the day. It was taught by Dr. Kellogg at Loma Linda Medical College to doctors. And then it went from the doctors to the nurses. and now it's with me and other colon hydrotherapists who are certified. I can't tell you enough how important it is that you be certified. There's
Absolutely.
I mean, there's people around here that will say you don't need to be certified because
I don't know. If someone's touching my butt stuff, I'm sorry. I do not want just some random Joe telling me that they think that they know what they're doing.
Well,
I want someone who knows what they are doing.
It's so important. And just because there's not regulations here that say you have to be certified does not mean that you should ever trust someone that's not certified. And the International Association of Colon Therapists is the governing premier body of that. It's the only certification in the country that does certify colon hydrotherapists. It's the only way that I know of that you can get professional liability insurance to do colonics. You may have it through some other modality in your office, but it's the only way I know. And it's 35 years old, the organization. So they're the one that set up the naturopaths and the medical board. They set up a board certification test.
Yeah.
And you really need to have that. But in China, a doctor does colon hydrotherapy.
Okay.
And in Mexico, you have to be working directly under a doctor in a nurse capacity. So the fact that there's little regulation here in this country.
That's concerning.
Well, it's concerning, but that's because I don't want to give it the attention it deserves because it's kind of a modality that can help with so many things. And I feel like we're in the business of treating sick people rather than keeping people well.
I would agree with that. I would absolutely agree with that. And I don't even work in a medical field, but it's what I see. It's absolutely what I see. I see people that a lot of their health issues, their diseases possibly could be prevented instead of managed.
And our bodies are miracles. Our bodies were created to be miraculous and take a huge beating. And I feel like removing toxins and encouraging the body to detox on its own with the type of modalities that we offer at Cleanse are so much better than, and I hate to say this because people will hate me, but supplements. So I'm not against supplements, right? And I'm not against more holistic people using supplements short term for certain things. But it's wrong, in my opinion, to be in a situation where you're talking down the Western medical field and big pharma for obvious reasons. And I'm not saying I disagree with talking them down. I'm just trying to say that, you're a holistic practitioner, let's just say, and then your answer to your client's problems when your client has exhausted all their energy and efforts and money and time and insurance and blah, blah, blah with Western medical. And then you have them come over to the holistic side and you've got a boatload of supplements for them, which still have to be, detox through the liver. And you've got vitamins and minerals. I don't think that that's right either because those people aren't even covered by insurance. So now people are paying an insurance premium and they're done with big pharma. And now they're trying these other natural doctor supplements that are $300 a month. And that's breaking the bank on top of it. And it's still not dealing with the underlying issue, which is lifestyle change. Yeah. And I know that that's hard.
But we were just talking about that. You got to choose your heart.
You got to choose your heart. So, yes, it's not easy to do certain things like stop eating 3 hours before bedtime so that you're in line with your circadian rhythm. It's not easy to drink a gallon of water a day throughout the day. It's not easy to do those things. But at Cleanse, we also offer National Board Certified Health and Wellness Services, which is another national board exam, and the board exam is brought forth for us health coaches that have taken that and passed that by the medical board, by the National Board of Medical Examiners. So everyone will call themselves a health coach, right? And they'll give you Optavia, and they'll give you all these different types of pills and potions and little lunches and all this liquid diet stuff, but it's not sustainable and it really truly is synthetic and it's really not good for your body. So we offer the lifestyle change piece and we also offer the detox modalities just to kind of help your body along because like I said, it's in the air, it's in the water supply, it's everywhere. Drinking filtered water is so important and eating fresh food is so important. And luckily for us, we have a wonderful farmer's market here in Cookeville, and I'm sure we have a beautiful one in Crossville with real organic farmers that are. And it's important to ask, hey, are you organic, or are you certified organic, or are you somebody that doesn't spray your food? Because there are people that go there and they try to do that little bait and switch and give you, tomatoes that they bought at a commodity place, and they're putting them in little baskets and making them look fresh.
Yes.
Look at the Clean 15 and the Dirty Dozen. It's not hard to keep those poisons out of your body, you know?
You say certified organic. My husband roasts coffee, because you'd already talked about the coffee and the mold. And my husband does roast coffee. He does the he has a roaster. It was a hobby he picked up during 2020 when we were all bored. And so, he's always really careful about, getting the organic beans and everything. And I'm going to tell you, I think he has the best coffee in town, but that's not his job. So it's really hard to keep up with demand.
Maybe it could be a side gig, right? Because I'm going to tell you something, that people need organic. I just can't believe any of it. I could go down these rabbit holes, but the bottom line is people don't understand that this has a little bit of chemicals, and this has a little bit of mold, and this has a little bit of glyphosate, bug killer, and weed killer. And it's kind of like I like to use the analogy to my kids, because I like to nag my kids because I want them to live and I love them.
Yes.
And when I see that they're struggling since they've moved out of my house because they're eating all this junk that they were never allowed to eat growing up, I say to them, you know that your favorite brownie from scratch, recipe that mommy always makes. Oh, yes, I love it. I love it. I love it. And I'm like, wonderful. Come on over here. I'm going to make it for you. Now, of course, I'm going to use my Farmer's Storehouse organic flour,
right,
and I'm going to use my organic sugar, and I'm going to use the eggs from my chickens and all this amazing stuff. But I'm also going to put 2 tablespoons of Harley's dog poop in it. And Harley is our black golden doodle.
So gross.
And his poop is gnarly. And I say to them, but don't worry, because you won't be able to taste it or smell it or even know it's in there. And it's brown, so it'll blend in with the cacao, right?
I'm going to be sick.
and they look at me like I'm crazy. And I'm like, what's the problem? I mean, it's still going to taste like mom's brownies, but you need to understand that when you drink that coffee, or when you eat that taco, or when you go to even Chick-fil-A, you're getting a boatload of chemicals in your body.
That's the Lord's chicken.
Yeah, well, and I love the message behind Chick-fil-A, and I love that their owners are believers, because I'm also a believer. And I know that they're still in America, and they're still sourcing their stuff through the same places. So, we have a little taco cart called Manna Fresca Mexican Grill, and people love
you
our
guys are the
food.
best.
We're Southern California tacos, and we're going to be showing up at a couple of events. One of them is the Allert Pumpkin Festival on October 5th. We're going to be up by Moody's store in Allert, which is by Jamestown, and we're going to be serving our street tacos and our famous nachos. And we were born in Tennessee. This restaurant was not in California first. It was first opened in Tennessee with a California flavor. And we're also going to be a vendor at the fairgrounds on October 19th, supporting the This Is Living ministry for the women of This Is Living. I love that ministry. It has my heart.
Is that the Putnam County?
It's Putnam County Fairgrounds, yeah. So those are our 2 next gigs. But we get our food supply from 2 different places. We use Restaurant Depot, and then we use a local food restaurant supply company. And the last time we did that, my husband said, Lisa, come over here. Check out these chicken breasts. And I went over there, and they look like turkey breasts.
Oh.
It's chicken. It's just boneless, skinless, and we prepare it all fresh. But the food we're getting, that chicken is loaded with additives or preservatives or waters or hormones or silicones or whatever it is they put in chicken. I don't pretend to know.
Right.
But I know what a chicken breast should look like, because we buy meat chickens from an organic farmer, and it should look like the size of your hand. And it was the size of my husband, 2 of his hands.
Yes.
And so we're feeding that. And we don't really have an option to not get that here.
Right.
So when we talk about Chick-fil-A and we talk about the mass amount of chicken that they sell, it would be amazing if they did something like bought an organic chicken farm.
Right. Right.
And if they had to raise their prices, then so be it.
Right.
But that would be a way that they could really stand out. But I'm not trying to throw, water on anybody's flame here.
No.
People just hate it when I talk sometimes, because they think I'm trying to go against what folks are doing, but that's not it at all. I mean, I understand what it is to make $1, and I don't think that people are trying to kill people at all, but I think that what this area needs is a really great organic restaurant, affordable organic, and with the amazing farmers here and ranchers, and I feel like if we kept the money local and the farmers could work with us a little bit, and they had a steady supply of, purchasing from this certain restaurant or restaurant chain, it would blow up, because I have to go to Nashville to get organic food.
Yeah.
The only place I really will eat in town, and I'm not bashing anyone's restaurant, the only place I really would trust, I mean, I like Meg's bread, right?
Yeah.
I like that very much. And I'm not saying I don't eat in town, but I cannot go to a restaurant as often to eat as I did in San Diego, only because they don't have
No,
the
it's
organic
limited.
options, right?
It is limited here.
And I'm not trying to, like I said, I'm not trying to bash anyone's business. It's the way of the world. And if you're going to eat out, I would say you better do like an 80-20,
Yeah.
where you're eating 80% of where you know it's sourced and making sure it's organic and eating it and preparing it at home so that your body can handle the other 20%.
Right.
Because it's just, I'm not the one that's giving people colon cancer, right?
Right.
I mean, the fact of the matter is that the American Cancer Society has to publicize that information, and they don't want to have to do that. But the fact of the matter is that it used to be that colon cancer was less than 5% of the cancers, and it was only with genetic predisposition, and it was people in their 70s.
Yeah.
So
I was like, I think my great grandmother died of colon cancer.
there you go. So
But she died when I was like 5 or 6. Like she was old.
right, old,
Great
exactly.
grandmother.
Exactly.
So, yeah. But I've known of a 30-year-old mom who's passed away with colon cancer.
Yep.
I know of another recovering friend. She is in her 50s now, who had colon cancer, I think in her 30s or 40s. I mean, it's a thing.
It's a thing, and it's everywhere. And if you know somebody, if you're listening and you know somebody personally with colon cancer, just know that I'm 55 years old, and I only know one person in my whole life, and I've lived in 3 states, that has died of colon cancer. And that was truly genetic predisposition.
Yeah.
It was my friend Julie. She died at 54. Her mom died at 27. And Julie embraced a vegan lifestyle her whole life in order to avoid that, because she had 5 wonderful children that are accomplished musicians. They play for the San Diego Youth Symphony, and they're just amazing. And she did die of colon cancer at 54. That is a true genetic predisposition.
Wow.
But a lot of these cancers that we're seeing, and other diseases, type 2 diabetes and other things,
Oh,
it's from
yeah.
diet and lifestyle. So it's reversible with diet and lifestyle. It's not reversible with supplements.
Right.
It's not reversible with pharmaceuticals. It's not reversible with powder drink mixes. It's reversible through lifestyle. If you're getting the stuff from what you're doing and your habits, then you are able to reverse it with that as well. And like we talked about, choosing your heart, right? I mean, you're talking about a man with his health, or a woman with her health, has many dreams.
Mm-hmm.
And without that, they have one.
Yeah.
And that's to be healthy.
Absolutely.
And so I can't stress enough that diet and lifestyle is the most important part. And lifestyle also means getting off of our phones a couple of hours before bed, or all screen time. I mean, screen time will set you in a sympathetic nervous system where you're not going to poop, period. You're not going to poop.
Wow. I had no idea.
And so I had a client just the other day call me. She was beautiful, wonderful, great person, had to have a surgery for something. And she said, I've had 2 CAT scans, before and after this surgery. And I'm pooping twice a day, and I've always tried to be healthy on purpose. And they're saying that I'm full of waste on this CAT scan.
Wow.
So she comes in and she has a colonic, and then she goes to a 3rd CAT scan because it was, after a kidney surgery. And she said, I was all clear. And I also lost 5.1 pounds because you have a digital scale. So I'm like, so here's somebody that's even healthier than me.
Right.
And she's losing 5.1 pounds. That's not fat. That's waste in her body. So I don't know, if you're not pooping, once a day at least, give me a call. And even if you are, you may want to check out the website, not to be salesy, but
No, that's what we're here for.
I mean, people are just constipated. Their kids are constipated. Their young adults are constipated. And men, they're embracing this as well. Probably 25% of my clients are men. And even though some of them park down by the chiropractor and do the walk of shame up to my place, they all come in and after they leave, they're like, man, I'm so much less bloated. Yeah, I mean.
In the world of small business, every day feels like a whirlwind. Owners are constantly balancing tasks, struggling to find time for what matters most. But in this busy season, relief arrives. Introducing the Autumn Agency's Small Business Division. Imagine a team that not only designs websites and masters SEO, but also provides essential business tools and strategies. With the Autumn Agency, owners gain access to expert business consultants who offer personalized strategies and tools to optimize operations. From marketing plans to financial insights, our consultants empower you to make informed decisions that drive growth. Digital marketing, social media, branding, e-commerce, every aspect of your business is perfected. Visit us today at theautumnagency.co and let us be your Autumn.
I want to work with the people here to help them help themselves.
Yes.
Because they feel so like defeated already.
There's a level of helplessness.
Yeah, and they're not helpless. No. They're so great and they're so smart and they have the tools that they need at their disposal to make their lives better.
They're just kind of hidden from them, I guess.
Well, I mean, I just think that I feel like some of the constipation comes from microbiome issues and people are not exposing themselves to what they need to grow their microbiome properly. They're actually born without what they need in their microbiome because their grandparents after World War II, in our generation, it's our grandparents that already started the standard American diet.
Right.
That crazy pyramid that every other country that has good health laughs at.
Yeah, that.
They laugh at us. They're like, oh my goodness.
Right.
And Kellogg's and General Mills and all these companies that make the cereals that are so poisoned here. If you want to sell a General Mills product in, let's say, Russia or Germany, let's say Germany.
Yeah.
Because I know for a fact, because I've read on it, they will only accept non-GMO, non-sprayed products from us. So we are making those products and shipping them to Germany. Mm-hmm. But we are not making those here. You can't even find a non-GMO Raisin Bran from Kellogg's here. They will not even give it to us.
Well, it's like the high fructose corn syrup in sodas. And soda's not good for you anyway.
It's in everywhere, but it's not just...
And that was the big thing. And I went to Europe when I was pregnant. And I'm going to tell you, I was so sick of drinking water sometimes. So there was a time or two I'd be like, hey, can I just have like a Coke? And it was cane sugar.
Yeah.
It tasted a little different, but I thought it tasted better.
It's so much more. Well, sugar in general, as we know,
it's not
should be limited just because, but it used to be in our grandparents and great grandparents. It was a treat. It's a moderation. But yeah, high fructose corn syrup is so bad, and it's in everything. It's in ketchup. It's in everything. It's in bread. It's in every kind of food because they know it fattens us up. And as long as there is a sugar in your system, your insulin levels will rise. Mm-hmm. And when they rise, your body will not burn fat. Mm-hmm. And it's going to burn out your pancreas. It's going to burn out all of your body. And that's when we start seeing so many other issues like the type 2 diabetes and the insulin resistance in children.
In these kids, I was going to say in these kids.
My son-in-law is a drummer and he plays all over the world. He's a drummer for an amazing Christian rock group. And he has said, listen, Mom, I'm going to tell you something. In Romania, I see people walking around and the only fat, sick people are the American tourists because the women here are walking around with 3 and 4 kids and they look like they're gym rats when they don't even go to the gym. And I can remember how easy it was for my family to live long lives. And you're right. We are the only generation, the first generation in many generations that are not going to outlive our parents. Right. And that's so incredibly obvious that the food supply and our medical system are not designed. So okay, I have a son who's going to be a doctor. Okay. And you know what doctors study? They study medicine.
Right.
They don't study the human body as far as nutrition and what keeps it healthy. There is nothing in your medical school training at all that talks about keeping somebody healthy. It is all disease management.
Right.
That is what we have in our country. So we need to stand up and understand that we need to patronize local farmers, local ranchers. If we have issues, we should seek maybe like Synergy Herbal Works. My friend Sherry Stickler, amazing herbalist. She also has a practice in Cookeville where she sees people. That's somebody that is going to work with your body with natural remedies to try to help you in a holistic way instead of running to a doctor to get on a prescription that you never get off of ever.
Right.
And I'm not saying doctors are wicked or evil. In our country, we have the most amazing doctors for trauma care.
Oh, yeah.
And for acute issues. So if you're going to shoot me, I hope that I am in a hospital here so that they can help me. Or if I have a heart attack, I want to do a code STEMI at Cookeville Regional. It's the best ever. But I would really love to be in a situation where I'm not having a heart attack. But if I'm in a car accident or something like that, yes, I'm so happy to be in the United States. We have the very best trauma care. But our doctors are not in a position to help us stay well.
Right.
And I'm not saying they're purposely doing that at all.
No.
I'm just saying that they are seeing people come in every day in droves with lifestyle-related diseases, and they know you're a female and your age and your weight and your race and all the information that they need to know because you're their patient.
Right.
And their nurse comes in and asks you what your symptoms are. And then your doctor will normally, I'm not downing every doctor, but they'll sit in front of a computer and all the information will pop up because they have those programs and they'll see, okay, so it could be one of three things. So I'm going to order these tests.
Yes.
And we're going to start you on this medicine.
Right.
And part of the doctors will start you on a statin, even though it's terrible for you, because they know that your cholesterol and your blood pressure and everything else going on and looking at you, you have metabolic syndrome, let's just say. So you've got a large waist and you've got high blood pressure and your sugars are high. They already know that if they don't put you on that, you could probably have a heart attack and die. But nobody is going to put you on it and hope that you get off because they never talk to you about disease management about disease prevention or how you got there. It's all symptoms based. So they've got a pill for it.
Right.
And again, I don't know what to do because people can change their lifestyle. It does take work. It is hard.
Yes.
It's fighting the flesh. It's fighting eating those snacks at night. It's fighting having that ice cream. We are such a generation of convenience, but there's a cost.
Right.
There's a cost to everything we do.
Yes.
So, and people are busy and people are going to be like, I'm listening to this girl and I've got 6 kids and I'm working 2 jobs and who does she think she is? I got to take my kids to Baskin Robbins because that's the quickest way. I totally get it. I love you. You're my people. I had 6 kids myself and came from the most expensive city in the entire country, arguably. So I totally understand. But the reality is that even though you're overworked and underpaid, if you feed your kids Taco Bell, you're making them sick. That's the reality. It's cheap and easy here, and we're getting what we're paying for, really.
No, the foods taste significantly different.
Yeah, because it is. It is significantly
they're not
different.
pumping it full of garbage. We're eating garbage here.
Yes, and there's a great show called The Blue Zones that it's a book, and they have a documentary on Netflix.
Yes.
While you're sitting there doing whatever you're doing, instead of watching, like our family loves to watch The Office, and I love Dwight. In fact, I am Dwight. All my kids buy me Dwight gear because I'm Dwight.
Are you a beet farmer?
I'm not a beet farmer, but I am somebody that has a snarky attitude like Dwight.
Oh my gosh.
And so I love it. But if you have a minute to not watch that, watch the documentary before they take it off because it talks about centenarians or people that live to be over 100 years old still being intimate with their spouses and working a job and enjoying their grandkids and how they live their lives and what regions they come from and what they're doing to stay healthy until they're old. And we can do that in this country.
Yes.
We can. We can't mitigate all of it because there's a lot of mandates that are not designed for our best interest and different things. But we can do a lot to help ourselves. And it actually is enjoyable.
Right.
Those people would not trade the American life for anything. I remember one of them, a guy was here. He was from Greece. I think it was from Greece. And he was diagnosed with like some high stage 4 lung cancer or something like that.
Right.
And him and his wife said, our kids are grown. He moved here as an immigrant. He started a really successful business and everyone had a lot of money. And he's like, I'm dying. I want to go back and die in my country.
Right.
So he went there with a 6 months to live prognosis against his doctor's orders from here. And he's still living. I think he's living like I don't know if it's 11 years, 20, I don't know what it is, a long time, more than a decade.
Wow.
And when the person that was interviewing him asked him what happened, he goes, I don't know. I guess I just forgot to die. And all he did was go back to his country where it was a slower paced life.
Yes.
He wasn't working himself to death. He was breathing fresh air, eating clean food, drinking clean water, and enjoying himself and laughing. And that's what he did.
You know, something that my husband, because we watched that, and we were actually just talking about it this weekend, and I can't remember if we were talking about it with my dad or whatever, maybe just each other. We were talking about, and I think it was Japan.
Mm-hmm.
Like, one of the things that they do to, you know, give themselves longevity is actually build community with other people.
Oh, it's incredible. That's common in all of them.
Simple.
Yes.
So simple. Like,
Yes.
just find your people. Don't do life alone.
Yes. But, you know, everything here is designed to make us feel isolated, like the social media.
Oh, my gosh,
I mean, I
yes.
can't even tell you how many times I've watched my teenagers sit in their rooms in a dark room, even though we've fought on their phone, and they're on their phones, right? And they're feeling, they're just, it's going to cause early onset dementia.
Absolutely.
Because it does. And,
absolutely.
and men and women are isolating and scrolling to try to figure out a way to, you know, manage their life. And really, they could be adding 100 more things on their to-do list than they have and feeling more free.
If they just put down the phone.
Correct. I mean, I love my pickleball. I love playing pickleball. I play with the Upper Cumberland Women's Club. I play on Tuesdays and Saturdays. I love it. And I make time for that. I close my business on Saturday mornings now from 8 to 10 so that I can play pickleball and get my farmer's market stuff. Because I have to have that.
Yes.
But yeah, your husband and you watching that show is going to do wonders for you because it's going to make you think about before you buy this or do this or
absolutely.
It helps to add things. I'll reschedule my whole schedule to go to a bunco night with my friend Kathy, with my husband, because we're enjoying it. And that's why they say, well, you've really networked your business well. You're part of the Upper Cumberland Women's Club and you go to all the Biz Foundry things and you're over at the, you know, I'm going to go to the Plenty on Spring gala that they're having in September. It's not hard for me to network my business. I'm just out there with my friends.
Right.
I love being social. And the fact that I own a business is a plus.
Right.
But the fact of the matter is that when I talk about my business in public, it's usually at a luncheon and I'm talking about poop. So it's not going over really well. So it's not like I'm, you know, that's my main driver. But yeah, making friends and being social. They said on that show that they don't put old people in old folks' homes, that, you know, because they enjoy being around the people so much.
Right.
The people are so, you know, they help the younger generation's longevity.
Yes.
They would never let their older generations sit in nursing homes.
No.
Because they're not a burden. And again, not villainizing people that have to put their families in homes. But here's the thing. If your older generation has medical issues that can't be managed at home, and especially if they have, like they need memory care, right? A memory care unit with Alzheimer's or dementia, where they need a locked unit. Absolutely. It's understandable. But I feel like my grandfather, I'm 55, I feel like my grandfather was already retired at 55.
Yeah.
So from the time he was like 18 to the time he was 55, he worked a couple of different jobs. And he led a normal life, right? And he retired and had the amount of money with his retirement and Social Security to enjoy life. But now what's happening? You have moms and dads that are working full time and then they're also doing DoorDash.
Oh, I think that's absolutely what's affecting what we're eating,
it's the
our
way
lifestyle,
we live.
and taking care of our parents, taking care of other people. It comes right down to the money we are not making.
Yeah, and the fact of the matter is that we're not living our best life.
No.
And this country doesn't set us up to live that best life.
You know, one of the funniest things I saw on Facebook one time, we're going to go back to social media here. It was somebody saying, what is the most expensive thing that you pay for that you feel resentful for? You know, some people are like, well, the electric bill or my car payment or my house payment. Someone goes, life. I'm paying for life and I am not having a good time.
Yeah.
I was like, what are we living for if we're not enjoying our time here?
And nobody knows how to do that anymore because we're under so much stress.
And has it increased in the last 4 years since COVID?
I'm going to tell you,
honest.
It's been, that's another thing that I'm feeling is kind of an intentional stressor. But I'm going to say this. I had a client who passed away, and I became close with her little some of her family members. And that led me and my husband to be invited to a funeral for her. And she was young, 46.
Oh, wow.
And this funeral was in a closed community, and they were Mennonite.
Okay.
So, I mean, like horses and buggies, no cars at all. They would get a driver when they would come to see me. And so I saw how they interacted and lived. And I just can't believe, well, first of all, there's no real reason that she should have died from what she died of. But again, I'm going to attribute that, just from what I've heard and seen, to a chronic H. pylori infection that turned into stomach ulcers and stomach cancer, right?
No.
Because they're living off the land there and they're not spraying anything. But that's another story.
Right.
But the bottom line is that just the laughter, and I'm not trying to say that I know what it's like to live behind the scenes in a Mennonite community.
No, but there was a level of community.
There was a level of community, and it was a huge deal. And her parents showed up for that funeral, and they were really old. Like, they were like probably 80 or 90 years old.
Wow.
So this girl had never lived outside of her community.
Okay.
And I just felt like there was a peace there.
Okay.
Now, of course, my mom, no, I saw these shows where they're running away from those places. Okay, so I'm sure that there's problems like there is everywhere,
And
right?
you know, they have those shows out there. Those are for ratings.
To villainize whatever, but just the simplistic.
Right.
Just the fact that she didn't own a cell phone, right? And I'm not saying that I feel like it's wonderful that they're not embracing any type of technology and cars, because they are making their life a little bit harder, because they can't.
I think so.
Yeah, I mean, I had tried to find her a hospital bed, right, for their community, and it had to be a crank one because they didn't have electricity.
Oh,
so
my gosh.
I'm not trying to say they should adopt any modern convenience, but what I'm saying is that there was a level of simplicity in that area, in those people, that if we could just have a little bit of that. I mean, it seems like they worked hard. A lot of men had black fingernails. You could tell that they were working the land and this and that. But the entire community of 300 or more people, however many were there that day, or probably even more, it was tons of people there, they were able to take that whole day and have their noon meal together and do this and that to celebrate this person. Well, it wasn't really a celebration. It was a funeral.
Right.
It was a sad, solemn event in their culture. But at the same time, I'm just saying that we don't have to be living like we're jet setters constantly. It's not good for us.
Right.
It's killing our microbiome, and it's killing our brains, and it's making us not enjoy all the things that we're working so hard for.
I think you're correct. This is kind of an eye-opening thing for me. This is where I'm like, okay, you're right. I'm going to put this podcast up and I'm walking out.
Right? I mean, it's like
you're right.
Go take your kids to the park, and do other things, which I'm sure you do. But I'm just saying that I feel like at the end of the day, we never feel like we have enough time, right?
I actually don't. Like, I had my kids with me this whole summer, and this was my first summer to actually work through the summer, and I work from home. But, my husband and I were like, look, we don't want them to be on TV this long. We don't want them on games this long and everything. I am glued to a computer. I am glued to a telephone. I am glued to so many different things to make ends meet.
Yeah.
And guess what my kids are doing?
They're on their tablets.
They're on their tablets. They're on their phone. And sometimes I'm like, I'm kicking you guys out of the house. You need to go swim in the pool. Go swim in the pool.
Yeah.
But I'm going to say it was probably my saddest summer, because I had my kids at home. I had one moving out, another one who's already gone, and I have two left at home. And I spent the whole summer working.
Right.
For what?
Yeah, for what? Because, and I'm going to say, the time passes so quickly, right? My last kid that I was taking care of, my son Isaac, he went to San Diego State this year for college. And
yeah, you just had one graduate.
I had one graduate.
Yes.
Graduating, went to San Diego State. And I'm going to tell you something. It's so incredibly obvious that time passes quicker than I thought, right? And I can remember being in the thick of it with the kids and having so much emotional dysregulation of a mom with 6 kids and not enough money and this and that. But I'm going to tell you something. It's so obvious that I could have lived life differently and had more enjoyment. Now, part of the reason we were poor is because I stopped working for 15 years. But did I really stop working? No.
Hey, you know what? I didn't work.
I left corporate America, right? But I was still baking wedding cakes for people because I know how to do that amazing, and doing cookie orders and cleaning houses and working as a crossing guard.
My mom was a stay-at-home mom. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. So we did not have all the luxuries that my friends had.
Right.
But I had a mom that was on us like white on rice.
Yes.
We were never arrested. I'm not bragging that we were good kids, but we didn't have that freedom to actually get into bad stuff because my mom was home. She had a clean house. She took care of the home. And I wanted to do that, but you just can't do that hardly anymore. So I stayed at home. And of course, I'm a musician. So what worked out very well for me was I didn't work. I stayed home with my kids. Like every one of my kids never went to childcare. Right. And I'm not knocking parents who put their kids in childcare. We have to this day and age. I get it. It's difficult. But we did without a lot. Like I know that we had one car. Yeah. We were a one-car family. But I stayed home with my kids, and I stayed home and booked shows. So in the evenings when my husband was home, or on the weekends when I could play somewhere, I had a gig, and that was my living. Yeah, we have to be hustlers, and oh my gosh, and with my kids, I was home, and I left my corporate America job of being a legal secretary. But the bottom line is, I didn't really have that relaxation, that biblical joy, that calm, cool delight in all of life's circumstances. I was always worried about how we were going to pay the bills. Yes, and that comes off. Your kids know, like my kids will tell you, we didn't know we were poor. Well, I'm glad that you didn't know we were poor, right? I'm glad that, but really, our life here is just harder than I think it needs to be. I agree. It's not designed for us to laugh anymore with our kids, right? Right. And I have 2 beautiful grandsons. I love them so much, and when my husband watches them, he's a great grandpa. He's wonderful. But at the same time, a lot of people don't know how to deal with kids anymore. No. And my daughter has said, look, when Dad watches the kids, when I help you with the spa, I love him so much, but you have to tell him he can't just plop the kids in front of the TV and watch a movie with them because she says, when I get home, they're karate kicking each other in the head and running around in circles and jumping off the furniture because that's too much stimulation. It's too much stimulation, and they haven't run it off. Correct. They haven't run it off. So she's really good about that. And like I said, he's wonderful to take him for ice cream or watching a pinch, but he didn't have a father that played with him or a mom that played with him. Oh, she had 7 kids and single mom, and so he doesn't understand how to deal. So we're parenting, loving, nurturing parenting is literally a lost art. Yes, it really should not be. I see it a lot more in homeschool moms. Oh yes. Oh my goodness. And I was a homeschool mom for 1 year. Yes. Unfortunately, my mom passed away at the first day of our homeschool day, and my year was really spent just trying to get through the next day. Yeah. So I feel like I kind of dropped the ball on that. But no, I see a lot of homeschool moms, and they're with their kids all the time. They're doing things differently. And a lot of it's because they're not working, so funding is very limited. Yes. And they've learned to make things happen on a limited budget. Yes. And making it more about experiences and one-on-one time and, just pouring into another person. Yes, that's correct. That's correct. And my hat goes off to the homeschool moms that do it that way. I tried to do homeschooling for 7 years, and I was such a, secular-minded person as far as schooling went that it was worth it to me for some reason to have complete meltdowns on my poor 4th grade boy, my oldest son, because he wouldn't sit down and do his math. It was all about checking off the boxes. So I had come out of corporate America into this mindset that I wanted my kids to have it better and different and not so not so rushed, and unfortunately I rushed as well. Right. So again, hindsight's always 20/20. No, I was the same way when I homeschooled. Yeah, it's tough. And you have to have that organization and stuff. So, but ultimately our health is in our hands in many ways, and I just don't like it when I see people who have young children who have cancers and other things going on, or even young people that have to deal with that. Mm-hmm. And I'm just surprised because since moving here and opening Cleanse, like I said, in California, I knew one person that had colon cancer. And to my knowledge, in my church, we were all very close. For the most part, I didn't hear anybody else say, oh, my family member also died or had colon cancer. But here, every client I have knows somebody close to them that's had colon cancer. Right. And I'm like, how is this happening? It's the food supply. It's got to be. It's got to be. Food supply, and it's us not doing what we need to do to keep our microbiome healthy, which is a whole other subject. I'm actually going to be giving a class at my place. Hopefully, it's going to be on September 26th, and it's going to be a free class. It's going to be at like 6 o'clock at night, and I think I've got 12 or 14 spots available. And so I'm going to talk about how you can reset your gut in 5 days. Awesome. Without buying anything. And any supplements. Any supplements, right? and I'm not, and I sell probiotics at my place and stuff like that. There's a time and place. Right. There's a time and place for them. Well,
probiotics have their place.
Right.
But if you can tell me that you can have like the G-bomb diet, like Dr. Furman, like the nutritarian diet, where you're eating greens, beans, onions, mushrooms, berries, and seeds and nuts as your main diet, and I'm not talking about no meat, no ice cream, but that's your main diet, and you're going to eat an apple with, that's organically sourced and locally grown, that's going to put a gazillion times more happy bacteria into your gut than the probiotics that I sell. But do my probiotics work? Yes. And are they good? Yes. If you still have that standard American diet, or if you're not going to take the time to do what we're talking about, the work, then that is a great tool to help you stay more regular and get rid of the bloat and do that kind of stuff. But remember, bloating and constipation and belching and flatulence and lymph glands that are stuck underneath your arms and they're hard, and the sides of your neck, and chronic allergies and infections of your nose and throat. That's not what we were meant to have.
Right.
So something's going on, right? So I don't know what else to say other than you have so much power. And baby steps is the number one thing I would say. Don't try to eat the whole elephant with one gulp. It's small bites.
I have two things I absolutely do want to talk to you about. And we're backtracking to colon hydrotherapy. Mm-hmm. So you had a seminar back in, I want to say March, and it was about Ozempic users or people that use semaglutides.
Oh, yes.
And the benefits of colon hydrotherapy with that. And I'm not on Ozempic, so I'm not at a full understanding to know what some of the side effects are that would require that. So I'm going to let you take the stage on this one.
So the whole world seems to be on this weight loss modality, and I know that it was originally formulated for diabetics. We've got semaglutide, which is the generic for Ozempic, and then we've got tirzepatide, which is the generic for Mounjaro. And many people do find weight loss success, but again, it's like anything else. If you come off of that medicine and you don't maintain the small meals and the eating less, right?
Yeah.
Then you're going to gain the weight back, right? And the jury is still out on how safe this stuff is long term.
Of course.
But how colon hydrotherapy can assist with the Ozempic or tirzepatide patient is simply because it can help naturally empty the bowel. Because the way it works with these drugs is they slow down gastric emptying. They are GLP-1 antagonists, and they are helpful in giving you a sensation of fullness, right? Mm-hmm. But because the gastric emptying is slowing, one doctor described it to me as the food is fermenting in the stomach, right? So that's some of the side effects. And for nearly everyone, the side effect of constipation is there, and that can turn into impaction quickly. And we don't want to pile even more laxatives, right? So if you're taking Ozempic and then you're taking Miralax, which is really similar to antifreeze, or you're taking Senna or cascara root, which stains your bowel, your large bowel, or stimulates it to move rather than just emptying it out with the warm filtered water of a colonic, you could be causing other issues. And some people even take Linzess. I've had people, Linzess is the gold standard for the heaviest hitting laxative there is out there that can be prescribed. And I have multiple people seeing me that have come completely off of that.
Oh, great.
And they come into me for monthly colonics now after their initial sessions that were a little bit closer together. But so let me give you an example. I have somebody that's lost 100 pounds that has been taking this weight loss shot.
Wowzers.
And she looks amazing, but she's going to the restroom once a week, and she drives 2 hours to see me. 2 hours. Okay. There's actually someone 30 minutes from her, but she prefers me and my reviews. I have like 82 or 83 5-star reviews.
You have
on Google.
A ton of Google reviews.
They're all 5-star for a reason.
Yes, they are.
And so she comes to me and she said, I wanted to get the colon cleanse because my doctor was giving me aloe. My chiropractor was giving me aloe, and it was helping sort of, but I still never felt empty. And I wasn't empty, right? It was helping me move my bowels daily, but it wasn't emptying to the degree that I was feeling. And she said, I can smell me. And I said, okay. And she said, I know my husband and my kids can't smell it. And I know you may not be able to smell it, but I can smell me. That's all I can do to describe what I'm feeling.
Oh.
And that's her body.
Oh, my gosh.
Totally toxic. Everything is backing up.
Ew.
So she is doing colonics
Okay.
and finding relief and actually seeing huge. I mean, she's clogged my symptoms, or she clogged my system a couple of times because she was so blocked up.
Wow.
And so she's blocked, and she's moving every day with these oral supplements that they're giving her, oral things. But she's having bowel movements the size of my forearm, broken up to a certain extent, but they're so big. And she's feeling so much better, right? Because she's emptying herself out. I mean, people go to the doctor all the time and get x-rays, and they're already on the highest form of pharmaceutical laxative that there is. And they're still not emptying properly. So, so that's how it can help with Ozempic and other GLP-1 medicines. Anything that's constipating you, we can help with in that way. That's what the FDA registration is designed for.
That's incredible. I had no idea. I have another question for you, and I think it's about the electrolymphatic therapy drainage. You had brought up at one point about how do I want to say this? How you may want to possibly go through that particular service before a breast exam, a mammogram.
Right. So it's interesting, you know, as a certified holistic practitioner, they have us pretty highly regulated, right?
Yeah.
So I can't suggest or recommend anything.
No,
but I will tell you that I saw a doctor's interview on a podcast, and I listened to this doctor who's a medical doctor, and he was saying that it's extremely important to cleanse the lymph prior to a mammogram.
Okay.
And he's a radiologist, because you look at the lymphatic system, it crawls like a little caterpillar, and it's every single cell in your body is bathed in lymph. And so the lymph system, which cleans your body and even cleans your blood, it travels slowly to these giant lymph nodes, and there are lots of them behind the knees, behind the head, you know, in the neck area, in the underarm area, in the breast area, right? And so imagine your lymphatic system is working and picking up toxins. It's like the garbage truck. It's like the garbage truck of your body, and its whole purpose is to go all around the place to all your cells and pick up all the toxins, right? All kinds of toxins, and bring them to these big porous lymph nodes in the body. So they're full, let's just say, okay? And they're supposed to be full because they're slowly draining through the main drain. So the thoracic area is above the belly button. That everything drains there, and below the belly button, it will drain in the groins. So if you are going in for a mammogram, this doctor was saying, and the mammogram is pushing the breast, 50 pounds of pressure on the breast to get an accurate picture of anything that might be hiding in the breast tissue, especially fibrous breast tissue,
Right.
because you've got to do, you know, all these different angles and everything.
Yeah.
It's squeezing the porous lymph nodes, right? And so it's squeezing, essentially, in his opinion as a radiologist, poisons right back into the breast tissue and into the body. Now, I'm not a radiologist, but when I heard that, it made perfect sense. And he was talking specifically on the lymphatic system. And so because I know that our bioelectric lymphatic drainage, our light touch equipment-based drainage modality is 50 times more, you know, effective than a traditional lymphatic massage, I know that that may be a good idea. Just like it may be a good idea to come in and get a couple of colonics before a colonoscopy, right?
Yes, I bet it would.
And so, and I just don't understand why more doctors don't recommend that. But again, it's a holistic modality, and it's not in their scope of practice.
Right.
Because it's not studied. Now, I have plenty of information on colon hydrotherapy and how it is studied in other countries, especially China and Japan.
Yeah.
But here in this country, it's just not one of the studied things.
No, not at all.
Although I have a client who passed away from breast cancer last year doing traditional medicine, and I have another client that found a huge lump in her breast, and she's doing mistletoe therapy with an organic doctor in Knoxville, and she is seeing her cancer numbers go down. Now, the fact of the matter is that she's paying out of pocket, even though she has great insurance, because her regular, you know, American insurance will not cover that. And I would think that if somebody has cancer, you would want to throw every single thing at it you could.
Yes.
And if Western medicine could somehow marry Eastern medicine and holistic medicine,
Or your choice of
homeopathy.
medicine.
Correct. I think that it would give everything a better chance of working out in favor of the patient. But the problem is when the cancer is being caused by the food supply, the water supply, and chemtrails, it doesn't seem that keeping people from getting cancer is a huge concern.
Yeah, it
because
doesn't seem
we
like a
shouldn't
priority.
I mean, we have had humongous medical advances from the beginning of time until now, and we're sicker than ever.
Right?
So, yeah, it's true. There's carcinogens and hair dye and, makeup and nail polish and food and water and everything. And our bodies can, in fact, detox. We have a liver that's amazing, with has over 500 functions that just the liver does. But the liver now has to lend a hand to our other organs because there's so many toxins in everything. And then, of course, you've got all the so-called natural people that want to fearmonger and make you buy their products now to clean out your body because they know that people are afraid to die and people are getting sick. And then they triple the price. So if it's got less chemicals, it's more expensive.
Right. So, and we're not just talking about Western medicine. We're
Nope.
talking about other
Sure.
quote unquote holistic practices.
Holistic practices, yeah. And so if you've got somebody and you know anything about medicine and health, and you've got somebody that's presenting with these symptoms, it's really not fair to say if you have brain fog and fatigue and you're, this and that, and then you need to come to me and take my holistic, super expensive protocol and pay me $6,000 and do my supplements and do these different machines. How are you addressing the root cause?
Right.
You're not addressing the root cause. It's what they're eating and drinking and how they're living.
Right. You're addressing symptoms.
Right.
And that's what we complain a lot about with Western medicine.
Correct. And so as a board-certified health and wellness coach, it's my job to put the right information in front of your face, right? It's not my information. It's PubMed studies.
Right.
It's peer-reviewed articles. It's real research. I need to know how much you know about your diabetes. If you're presenting to me and you're a diabetic, you don't need to have your blood drawn and tested and all this other baloney. You need to know what's causing your insulin to spike.
Right.
And I need to talk to you about your lifestyle.
Yes.
And we need to have a conversation about what small changes we can implement that are doable for you, that are sustainable for you, so that you can be free of this debilitating, avoidable, and reversible disease.
Right.
I don't need to come in like some sort of a superhero and give you a vitamin instead of a pill.
For thousands.
You don't need that. And I'm not saying there's never a time for a medicine or a supplement. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying that if you're doing 5 things in your health and lifestyle to cause you to have non-alcoholic fatty liver, why would I ever give you, number one, I wouldn't give you anything because I'm not a doctor, and even a naturopath in this state cannot prescribe or suggest anything because there's no licensing for that. Now, I'm not saying that naturopaths aren't amazing. I'm just saying that we're supposed to stay in our lane.
Right.
And we're not allowed to diagnose and treat.
Right.
So if you're going to someone and they told you have to have 12 colonics, and they're not a medical doctor, then they're diagnosing and treating.
Ooh.
And that's against the law. So I'm just trying to tell you that, people want to make you hate the laws. Well, okay, I don't like the laws either, but we have to do what's responsible. And so being that I'm on the board of directors of the International Association of Colon Therapists, and I'm just about to get my instructor's, credentialing, I have to do things that are the right way, right?
Absolutely.
So I'm going to tell my clients where they can find the information, right? What do you know?
Right.
What do you know about what do you think the American Diabetic Association says about diabetes? Where do you think in your life you're compromised? What are you eating, drinking? How are you not sleeping, or how are you sleeping? What's
Right.
going on with you? Well, how can we fix these things in your life and give you your power back?
Right.
Right? That's what we're all about, is trying to give the person the power back, because the information's out there. They just don't think that they can do it. So everyone's looking for a pill or a potion or a machine to lay in to fix things.
Right.
And those things are not going to give you long-term relief.
Right.
They're just not. I mean, if they would, I would be the first one in line.
Oh, me too.
But that's not how it works. In my 55 years of living, I've never seen anything like that.
Wow.
So yes, they're helpful, and yes, they have a place, but there's no magic bean that you can shove in the ground and have that beanstalk and grow it to the sky and get your pot of gold. It doesn't happen that way.
Got to choose your heart.
You got to choose your heart.
You got to choose your heart. Lisa, you're amazing. You know way more than I think anybody does about this stuff. I'm like, how do you know all this stuff? I'm amazed.
I'm a podcast freak, and I'm hungry for knowledge that's going to give us life.
I think that's an incredible inspiration right there. So Cleanse Wellness Spa is in Cookeville. Can you tell us, phone number,
yes,
web address, Facebook, all of the good stuff that you can do for us?
So we are in Cookeville. We're on South Low, 420 South Low Avenue. We are right behind the Absolute Fitness and the Aldi's. We're open Monday through Saturday. Our hours during the week are 10 to 6, and Saturdays 10 to, well, it says 8 to 2, but like I told you, I'm a pickleballer now. So, right? So for 10 to 2, we can run many different appointments per hour because some of these are meant to be private and meant to give the dignity to our people who want privacy. And I supervise that with all diligence and experience, so you can be fine with that. Our website is cleansewellnessspa.com. You can email me. You can call me. My Gmail is cleansewellnessspa@gmail.com, or you can do the hello one on the website. If you have a question, you can submit a Squarespace, a little requisition, and I get emailed right away. Our phone number is 931-295-8779, and I take my calls. They ring right directly to my cell phone. So if I don't answer, I'm with a client, or I'm doing a podcast, or I'm networking somewhere, but I will get right back to you, and you will talk to me every time. I don't have an answering service or a virtual assistant. It's just me, and I like it that way.
How many certified and credentialed people do we have in colon hydrotherapy in Tennessee?
Well, here's the thing. If you look on the IACT, which is the International Association of Colon Therapists website, there's a place for the general public to find a therapist. And the tag is called Find a Therapist. That's the tab.
Okay.
So you log on there, and there are 6 of us. And as they are reporting themselves, right, because it's up to them to work with IACT and make sure that they're on there, I am the highest educated that will appear on that site. If there are others, I do not know about them.
Right.
Because they are not on there, and they are not putting themselves on there for whatever the reason.
So as far as we know, you're probably the only one that's certified and credentialed in a 2-hour, 1 hour, whatever.
Yes. If somebody's on the fence, please check out the website. Please use our call to action landing page there and reach out to me. And so if you want to help your body be its best, and you need a little bit of help because your life is crazy like we talked about, come in and see us and see how we can help you, see what we can do to help you, and read the reviews, because those are people with the same problems. It's nothing new under the sun, as we know, and see how they found relief. See what the clients are saying.
Right. And follow her on Facebook, because I know that, like you said, you just recently developed like a little classroom area, so you can start offering seminars and educational classes about just our health in general.
Yes.
And so I'm sure that those will be announced as they come. And you said you were talking about having one on September 26th?
Yeah, that'll be at my place, and it'll be at 6:00. I do work with medical professionals who are licensed in the area, and I'm just proud to be able to. They trust me.
They trust you.
They've seen my facility, and many of them have come to me already. Like Tiffany Ward, she came to me for colonics and said, I'm not about to refer anybody.
So they just don't trust you with their patients. They trust you with themselves.
Well, correct. And Tiffany's biggest selling point was, I want to do it first. Yes. I want to come in and see what you offer before I refer people, because she loves her patients.
That's great.
And so that was a huge plus for me as a new business here in the Upper Cumberland.
Lisa, it was such a pleasure having you on the show.
Thanks for having me on.
Just stop in when you're coming down. It's right off Interstate 40. It's my beloved hometown, Crossville, Tennessee. And when I leave, I feel so sad, not just because of Mom and Dad. It's for my love of hometown, Crossville, Tennessee.
Looking for the perfect gift for someone you love? Perhaps you're in search of something unique to treat yourself. Discover the beauty of uniquely created hand-stamped jewelry. Locally owned and crafted with love, Our collection features rings, bracelets, keychains, and pendants made from durable aluminum and paired with natural beads. Enjoy necklaces on sterling silver-plated chains and earrings with sterling silver hooks for a touch of elegance. Each piece is hand-stamped and one of a kind, making it uniquely yours. Plus, we offer custom orders, and we ship nationwide. Find us on Facebook and Instagram today and fall in love with your perfect piece, uniquely created just for you. Uniquely created hand-stamped jewelry in Crossville. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of What's Up Crossville. We want to give a shout out to the amazing sponsors for their support. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe to our podcast and follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Leave us a review, and don't forget to share this episode with a friend. For more information about What's Up Crossville, visit us at whatsupcrossville.com. There, you can find upcoming episodes, resources mentioned in the episode, and even recommend future guests. Please note that the views and opinions expressed in this episode are those of the individual speakers and do not represent the policy or positions of this show, its related entities, advertisers, or the Southern Spitfire brand. While our discussions may cover a variety of topics, the content of What's Up Crossville is intended to inform, inspire, and entertain. It should not be used as a substitute for professional advice. For medical, financial, legal, or other professional advice, we encourage our listeners to seek the expertise of a licensed professional who can provide personalized guidance. Thank you for listening, and we'll catch you in the next episode of What's Up Crossville.